The question is intentionally rhetorical. Like, what the fuck happened in 1971? We're not asking because we know what happened in 1971, but do you?
To suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold, to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold.
But the French led the way, and they said, we've had enough. We're getting your dollars, but we don't like them, and we want our gold.
Des dollars, au même titre que de l'or, entraînent les Américains à s'endetter et à s'endetter gratuitement.
And that's when Nixon put his foot down, and the saying was he closed the gold window, no more gold would come out. In a way, it's a declaration of bankruptcy that we can't, defend our position and pay our bills, and yet we've been borrowing the money and we've been fooling the people, and we've continued this process.
Once I knew my stocks and bonds were gone. I knew Satoshi Nakamoto was the...
Is that tax money that the Fed is spending?
It's not tax money. To lend to a bank, we simply use the computer to mark up the size of the account that they have with the Fed. It's much more akin to printing money than it is to borrowing.
You've been printing money.
Well, effectively, and we need to do that because our economy is very weak.
Don't panic, the price will rise and fall. Ultimately, we're breaking through the wall. The sky's the limit, and I'm in it to win it. So I'm just holding for the longest time.
Somebody asked me, what is the Federal Reserve System? And you've got 30 seconds to explain it. I can say, well, I don't need 30 seconds. I can do it in 4. The Federal Reserve System is a scam. Any questions? If you have the courage to read the Federal Reserve Act, you talk about boring, but it's all in there. The United States Congress passed a law which in essence was a cartel agreement for all the major banks to come together and share the market and control the market to their advantage.
The constitutional dollar is defined as a weight of gold or silver. The genius of the Federal Reserve Plan was it inserted a man in the middle in 1913 between the Constitution and the people in the form of the Federal Reserve. And that was the introduction of the Fed dollar. It's not the dollar that is defined by the Constitution. It's a note that's issued by the Federal Reserve.
The power to actually print the money is the basis for the whole inflationary system. Doesn't mean they actually print the money and spend it. That's what the Treasury used to do in the Civil War. But it's a more sophisticated way of doing it. They write out checks out of thin air, buy bonds with it, and then the checks or the deposits on the Fed then go out into the system.
Now that we have the Federal Reserve System, now that we have a means of creating money ourselves, creating money, the purpose of tax has become very narrow. We can fund everything we want to do simply by creating the money. We still need the tax primarily as a social mechanism, as a means of engineering society, as a means of control. That's what they have the taxes for.
Before every election, our representatives would like to make us think we're getting a tax break. And they're able to do it while at the same time actually raising our taxes because of a bit of magic they have in their kit bag. That magic is inflation. They reduce the tax rates, but the taxes we have to pay go up because we are automatically shoved into higher brackets by the effect of inflation. A neat trick, taxation without representation.
It's true that the money supply inflates, and so they think, well, the prices are going up. But in reality, it's just that the value of the dollar goes down.
In 1971, they removed the final link between gold and the dollar, and then the value of the dollar plummeted, and that expressed itself in very high inflation. But of course, no government has ever admitted to messing around with its currency, and it's always the fault of everything else in the universe. Well, the oil crisis in the Middle East. But of course, none of that matters compared to the monetary cause of it. So the price of everything was rising because the value of the dollar was dropping because they were printing dollars like crazy.